In the top stories, Ministry of Health clears the air on misinformation about coronavirus. Jamaica's health minister addresses COVID-19 impact on sports, and Joe Biden wins 9 states. Sanders takes California in U.S. Super Tuesday. Hello and welcome to the ZIZ Midday Newscast. Today is Wednesday, March 3rd, 2020. I am your presenter, Shaira Flanders. Nationally, the Ministry of Health has issued a statement clarifying information given at a press conference on Monday on the coronavirus outbreak. The statement was issued in response to posts on social media, which the ministry says have misrepresented or deliberately twisted the information out of context. At the press conference, Chief Medical Officer Dr. Hazel Laws stated that the Federation has been monitoring and screening visitors if their travel information indicates that they have visited any of the listed hotspots for coronavirus. The ministry's statement issued on Tuesday said that travel information would determine the level of risk posed to the Federation. As such, 50 passengers who were determined to be low risk were allowed free movement in the Federation, but were monitored daily by the community health team to ensure they remained healthy and symptom-free. The statement said 47 of these 50 travelers have already left the Federation, as they were only in country for a maximum of 1 to 3 days. Only 3 of these travelers are still here in the Federation and are being followed up by the public health team purely as a precaution. The ministry repeated that there are no known confirmed cases of COVID-19 in the Federation. The statement said this period of preparation and risk mitigation regarding COVID-19 is not a time for fear and panic. Rather, it is an opportunity for collective responsiveness and cooperation with state health and national security agencies in the interest of the health and wellness of all concerned. In other news, Officer Kieran Nicholas copped his 2nd Constable of the Year title at an awards and dinner event held over the weekend. Officer Nicholas, who works in the Task Force Unit, had previously won the prestigious award in 2016. He thanked everyone who he deemed instrumental to his development and encouraged his colleagues to use the occasion to give them the will to work even harder. In addition to Officer Nicholas, the top 3 comprised Constable Trevin Mills of the Violent Crimes Unit, who was the first runner-up, and Constable Colin Cupid of the Beaton Patrol Department, who was named 2nd runner-up. On Saturday, 9 officers from Division C in Nevis were recognized for going above and beyond the call of duty in their respective departments by dedicating themselves wholeheartedly to protecting and serving the Federation. And as we wrap up national news, an autopsy has been performed on the body of 51-year-old Anthony Jules of St. Paul's. Jules' body was pulled from the ocean at Deep Bay after his raft overturned. The autopsy was performed by pathologist Dr. Nautica Phillip on Monday, and it was concluded that death was as a result of asphyxia caused by drowning. Jules was last seen fishing on a raft at Deep Bay at around 8:30 a.m. on February 28th. Sometime after, the raft was seen overturned in the water, and his body was found shortly after following a search. Investigations into the matter are ongoing. On the regional scene, Jamaica's health minister says no quarantine will be given to a delegation when they return from the CONCACAF Under-20 Women's Championship currently on the way in the Dominican Republic. Here's more.
Jamaica's Under-20 Reggae Girls have advanced to the quarter-final stage of the CONCACAF Under-20 Championships, where they will face host nation, the Dominican Republic, on Wednesday. Even as the nation celebrates the achievement, there is some concern, as that country has confirmed 3 imported cases of the COVID-19 coronavirus. Jamaica recently imposed the travel restrictions on China, Iran, South Korea, Italy, and Singapore. But with no such restriction on the Dominican Republic, Health Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton told our sports department there's no need to place the local-based players or technical staff in quarantine.
When they come in, they would be treated like any other person coming in the island. There'd be a temperature check, which is done for all passengers at our airports through an automatic scanner. They'll be given information on the coronavirus and the precautions to take and the symptoms. And in this instance, they may be discussed the issue may be discussed a little more by the medical personnel there, but it would not warrant a quarantine arrangement unless there is compelling evidence to support that.
And with hundreds of persons usually traveling to Jamaica for the annual ISA Boys and Girls Championships, we asked the health minister of the plans for those arriving fans.
Well, if there are non-Jamaicans and are on the list of restricted countries, and we have 5 so far, they would not be allowed to land. If, however, they are Jamaicans and coming from those countries, they may be quarantined for the 14-day period.
Meanwhile, Tufton says Jamaica will follow the expert advice when final decisions are made as it relates to this summer's Tokyo Olympic Games.
So it's still a fluid situation, but I would be prepared to say that it is concerning that the proposed host of the Olympics has this kind of challenge now, and it certainly would put our athletes at risk if that trend continues. And it's not a decision that we alone will make. We certainly are concerned about our nationals, but it's certainly a decision that I think the Olympic organizers would have to make, and all the countries of the world, in determining whether they use that venue somewhere else or otherwise.
Last weekend, Italy announced that several matches in Serie A had been cancelled over coronavirus fears. As at Monday, an estimated 87,000 people have been affected by COVID-19 globally.
In Trinidad, the Minister of Health, Terence Dial Singh, is dismissing reports of a shortage of N95 masks for health personnel in the public sector. More in this report.
Earlier this week, newspaper reports claimed that nurses were concerned that they did not have an adequate supply of disposable face masks as the country prepares for the COVID-19 virus. In the Upper House on Tuesday, the health minister set the record straight.
We have more than enough stock, and in the event that an epidemic or an outbreak should happen in Trinidad and Tobago, as a signatory and a financial member to PAHO and WHO, Trinidad and Tobago has access to PAHO's strategic stock of emergency PPE in Panama, which can be rushed to Trinidad within 48 hours if required.
Minister Dial Singh said there is also a shipment of an additional 25,000 masks from supplier 3M, which is expected to arrive in 1 week. And according to the minister, it doesn't make sense to distribute supplies until absolutely necessary.
It will be made available to nurses, attendants, doctors, all frontline people when required. It makes little sense to distribute it now when there is no outbreak, when there is no confirmed case.
Minister Dial Singh said inaccurate reports have also sullied the name and reputation of UWI Principal Brian Copeland. He's calling for responsible reporting when it comes to the coronavirus.
Because the coronavirus is not yellow, it's not red. It doesn't belong to the PSA, it doesn't belong to business. Let us stand firm and fight this common enemy with resolve. I am urging the national community, let's all be responsible. Because I am taking 40 calls a day now, refuting social media.
The Ministry of Health will host a media conference on Wednesday to give an update on the country's preparedness for COVID-19. Karen Kozia-Phillip, TTT News.
And you can join us right here on TTT and Talk City 91.1 FM from 10 a.m. tomorrow for live coverage of the Ministry of Health's update on the country's preparedness for the COVID-19 virus, or you can log on to Facebook at TTT Live Online.
On the international scene, former U.S. Vice President Joe Biden has made a strong comeback in the race to pick a Democratic presidential candidate. Al Jazeera's Rob Reynolds has more.
Joe Biden surged out of the blocks from the very first results, winning North Carolina, Virginia, and Alabama in quick succession. As the evening wore on, he maintained the momentum from his massive victory in South Carolina a few days ago. And this appeared to be boosted even further by the support of two candidates who had dropped out of the race, the endorsements by Pete Buttigieg and Amy Klobuchar, a huge injection of energy into a campaign that had faltered at the start.
And we're told, well, when you got to Super Tuesday, it'd be over. Well, it may be over for the other guy. Tell that to the folks in Virginia, North Carolina, Alabama, Tennessee, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Minnesota.
Biden also won in Texas, the second largest state to vote on Super Tuesday. And his astounding victory in Massachusetts was a massive setback for Elizabeth Warren, who represents the state in the Senate. She made clear, though, her battle was far from over.
So here's my advice. Cast a vote that will make you proud. Cast a vote from your heart. And vote for the person you think will make the best president of the United States of America.
Another major loser on the night was Michael Bloomberg, who did not compete in earlier contests. His sole victory was in American Samoa, but he continued to insist he would be the best Democratic Party candidate to defeat President Donald Trump.
And if you are ready to clean out the Oval Office and get things done, then welcome to Bloomberg 2020. Thank you.
The front runner going into Super Tuesday stayed in the fight. Bernie Sanders easily won his home state of Vermont, along with significant victories in Colorado and Utah. Most importantly, although it will be hours and possibly days before all votes are in, he's the winner in the critical state of California, with its huge block of delegates.
But tonight, I tell you with absolute confidence, we are going to win the Democratic nomination. And we are going to defeat the most dangerous president in the history of this country.
The results on Super Tuesday appear to reflect a new focus among Democratic Party voters in choosing a presidential nominee. Despite the debate about competing platforms, support is being increasingly determined by one single issue: who would be the most suitable candidate to defeat Donald Trump? Rob Reynolds, Al Jazeera, Los Angeles.
Severe storms and tornadoes have ripped across the U.S. state of Tennessee, shredding at least 40 buildings, killing at least 19 people. Here's more.
An eerie call to take shelter for Tennessee residents. The siren warns of a looming tornado. This is one moving through downtown Nashville, but there were multiple tornadoes early Tuesday morning throughout the state of Tennessee.
Oh my God! The roof from the other building right next to us was blown off, hitting our roof or our wall and windows, and the roof of our hotel below us was ripped off, and it was hitting our stuff, and yeah, it was pretty scary.
They left tens of thousands without power as the winds damaged electrical equipment that lit up the sky. More than 150 people were rushed to hospital.
We heard the sirens going off, we heard the wind, we went in the basement. 20 seconds later, it was done. It was gone, 20 seconds.
One tornado hit the ground near downtown Nashville and ripped a 16-kilometre path to the city's eastern suburbs.
There are multiple homes damaged, there are multiple injuries, and we are still in that response. Our priority right now is assessing the injuries. We're responding, trying to find those who are trapped, trying to find those who are injured.
As day broke, the death toll grew and extent of damage was revealed. In Nashville alone, hundreds were left homeless. Schools, courts, public transportation, an airport and the state capitol were closed. Officials scrambled to find alternate sites for Super Tuesday voting. Tennessee, the first to feel the brunt of America's 2020 tornado season. Charlotte Ballas, Al Jazeera.
And now for the weather. Present weather is partly cloudy. A gentle breeze of 12 miles per hour is blowing from the east-northeast. Today's temperature will peak at 77 degrees Fahrenheit. Expect cloudy conditions at times with a moderate chance of showers, mainly this afternoon. Tonight is expected to be partly cloudy. Sunset today will be at 6:18 p.m. and the sun is expected to rise tomorrow at 6:26 a.m. And that brings us to the end of the ZIZ Midday Newscast. Thank you so much for tuning in. I am your presenter, Shaira Flanders. Have a good one.